All right, Tesla nerds, let's take step 7 in my attempt to de-nerd this thing a little bit, and that's to put some wheels on it. And for those of you who've been following along, you know that I overreacted to the nerdiness of this thing and went a little too hot boy. And what I had done was I had this idea of let's do some aggressive 3-piece wheels. I don't think these are very aggressive, but the plan was aggressive 3-piece wheels. So these are Vossen EVO-2R in a 3-piece design. And let's do something way outside of my traditional character, and that's to do a blue lip. So we'd actually done this same blue, which looks great in a small swatch. It looks great in photos, but in person it's a little bit too bedazzled for my liking. I wanted it to just be blue. And it's like that blue you get in like car wraps that's just extra douchey. So it didn't work. Put the wheels on, left them on for 3 minutes, and took them back off. And so the other issue is that my camber and alignment was off, and so they look kind of sunk. And I think that I probably bought the wrong size tires as well. So fast forward now today, so this was months and months ago. I sent him back to Vossen, said I screwed up. This wasn't Vossen's fault, this is my fault. I gave it a whirl and it was wrong. I said, can I pay to have them refinished? So my friends at Vossen, Kyle, Diego, they pulled some strings, got things in and out in short order. And so here we are. So we're gonna put the wheels on the car. So I wanted to go through specs and how they're set up, and then we'll just jack the thing up. I'll show you some of the nifty tools that I got that I'm going to use to put them on, and we'll see if they fit. So the fronts, these are the two fronts here. The fronts are 20 by 9 plus, or ET35, so plus, I think it's a plus offset, plus 35 is the offset on them. I think we're going to find out that I probably should have gone a little bit more aggressive, or what I may end up doing. So in order to make sure they fit, or at least hope they fit, these are a 245 35. I think it's a 245, is it? Yeah, 245 35 20. When I first put them on, I messed up. I don't know why I did this, but I ordered a 245 30 20, which is not the right size. So the sidewall was a little too lean on that. Now, I don't love the stretch. I don't like stretched look. I like square if I can help it. These aren't terrible, but my guess is this is going to be a tiny bit sunk, and I should have either done a little bit more aggressive, like a plus 31, 32 offset or something like that, or possibly gone to a 255. So I guess the other thing you could do is just go down to an 8.5 wide wheel. But we're going to see how this goes, see how it fits. You can see the 3-piece design. There's the, all the bolts, and then these are all sealed up. I did spend hours and hours and hours. They don't notice all the tires are denibbed. They're always a little shiny the first time I dress them. And so what I did to these is after mounting and balancing, I cleaned the tires with Stoner's Terminator. I cleaned the wheels with CarPro Eraser just to prepare them, and then I did 2 coats of CarPro Deluxe, DLUX, and then a single coat of CarPro Gliss, and I dressed the tires with Obsessed Cars tire dressing and a race glaze brush, and so now we have this all set up, and so we have matte black on both, and I guess it's a satin black, not a matte black, because it still has a bit of a sheen to it. So these are the matte black finish. Now the rears, which are here, the rears are a 20 by 10.5 and a plus 42 offset. And then the rear tires, now I don't like this, but this is what fits best on the car, is a 285 30 20. So we have a 40 millimeter, so we're going from a square car, a car that's naturally square setup, to a 40 millimeter stagger. This is probably a really bad idea. This goes way outside of what I would normally do, but what I'd put on the rears before, I had 275s on, and the 275s were way too narrow. I don't even know, what did I do with those tires? Did I sell them? I think I did. So I'd gone the wrong size front, wrong size rear, just playing to see what worked. And so I went up from a 275 to a 285, so it doesn't look as stretched. Still, I would want a little bit more meat. We'll see how it fits on the car. The beauty is I was able to mount and balance these on my own, road force, so I did road force balancing. And so for those of you nerds that don't understand this, I didn't know this either. So I guess I'm a nerd too. I always thought road force meant that you put it on a special road force machine, and it takes that thingy, that thing with tarmac on it, or basically grip tape on it, pushes and creates pressure on the tire. And I'd always assumed that that's what sort of told the machine where to put the weights. But no, what road force balancing means is that it tells you where the heavy spot of the tire is, the heavy spot of the wheel, and in order to get the car into road force balance, or not the car, but the wheel and tire into road force balance, you have to take the wheel back off of the, so you have to mark the wheel and then go rotate it on your install machine or your mounting machine. Rotate the wheel around in order to offset the heavy spot of the wheel, which is generally where the TPMS sensor is, and the heavy spot of the tire. And then, old school, the tires would have a marking. These don't have a weight marking, like Michelin's don't anyway. And so you've got to rotate it, and generally 2 or 3 times in order to get it into road force. I don't think I've ever seen, I always thought I was going to get my wheels and tires road force balance. Well, they always just kind of, if the machine said it wasn't balanced, then they had to rotate it. I don't think I've ever seen anybody actually do it. And so these are really dialed in. One of them took a lot of work and actually wouldn't balance. Then I finally just did a 180 flip. I think it was this one here. I just flipped the tire 180, even though the machine said it couldn't fix it, and I was able to get it into tolerance. So these are all balanced using my own system here. So let's stop talking. Let's start putting on and let's see what it looks like. All right, I don't know what the offset is of these. So the factory wheels, these are the factory douche turbines, and I actually swapped out because I'd ruined the wheels from after doing the mounting and balancing, or no, after doing the suspension. I had to remount and balance and use some new tires. But these are upsized to 245, 35, 20 from a 235, which is the stock size. It looks so much better instead of Pirelli's Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. And these were the first wheels that I ever used my mounting and balancing machine on to figure out how to do it. But this car has a rather aggressive, so this has Mountain Pass Performance shock, the KW variant of their shocks, their springs, the spring perch, the cyber arm, the upper, lower control arm, basically every arm, every part and piece of the suspension has been swapped to Mountain Pass Performance. I have unplugged performance sway bars on it, and it handles like crap. So it's not because of the parts, it's because I need to tweak the alignment. I did the stock alignment suggested by Mountain Pass, and the car just feels super unsettled. So right now I have -1 degree of camber and whatever factory toe is. And so it probably needs some more camber. So after I get these wheels on, we'll probably send it out and have it realigned again. But yeah, it's a pretty sophisticated suspension setup here. So I'm gonna use, we have these in stock finally, but I'm gonna use the Milwaukee Mid-Torque, which is my by far favorite Milwaukee tool. I was always using the high torque stuff, the one with the extended anvil. So instead, what I'm trying to talk Milwaukee into doing is making this with an extended anvil on it, so it would look like this. And then you would use this basically exclusively for removing wheels and tires. I'm in search of a jack, so you can stay tuned. I'm about to buy a bunch of jacks because my Harbor Freight one, this one is fine. But I don't like fine, I want great. And you can swing this by just throwing the jack on the car here, it's fine. Just make sure you hit the jack point. And you need to get it an inch off the ground. And then I have 20mm spacers in the rear, which is about 5 millimeters too big. And then I've got, what do I have, 20 millimeters front, rear and 15 front. 15 in front's perfect. So if you are looking for a turbine wheel setup, I took the goofy hubcap off, which means I should paint the hub. I won't need to do that because this has a center, whatever, what do you call that thing? Center cap. So these have a key. Oh, it's on one. So these are, I think, set to 130 foot-pounds. I think that's the spec for this car. And yet the mid-torque will take it off pretty easily. So if you're, normal 90 or 100 foot-pounds on like a Honda or something like that, or a car that doesn't weigh as much, this mid-torque will take it off in one pull. So this car has, I had custom powder coated black rear calipers, OE calipers. And then I have the track pads, track rear pads from Unplugged. All probably completely unnecessary, but. So this is the Aspira 20 millimeter spacers. Trying to figure out, there's something that clunks in here. It drives me crazy. And I don't know what it is. It's part of aftermarket. This is a spacer that has its own integrated studs, because otherwise to do like a big 20 millimeter spacer like this, you'd have to put all new studs in because they're clearly not long enough for you to put a spacer and still catch the wheel. So I think we're okay the way that this is set up. So Vossen didn't recommend any replacement of studs, so we should be good even with this more aggressive offset with factory studs. So let's roll this sucker on here. And then I've got the Vossen lugs to put on here, which are really nice. You just have to be kind of gentle with them because they're aluminum, lightweight aluminum. I always assume this car Harbor Freight jack is gonna blow up. This thing is like 20 years old. This one isn't, but the other one I have that actually is, I think, better than this one, is 20 years old. I bought it assuming I'd have it for 6 months. Had it forever. So Matt, why don't you just keep it? Why do you need a new one? It's not good. Just because it works doesn't mean it's good. It's clunky, it makes a lot of noise. Just not great thing. If there's more, I think there's more room in the rear, I could fit a bigger rear tire. But remember, stagger is important. And I think, for decent balance, you really want like a 20 millimeter stagger. Now I got 40. So this is a 285 in the rear and a 245 in the front. In a perfect world, I would rather have this, I generally don't like how cars feel square setup. I'm not going for all out, lateral performance. I generally prefer to have a stagger, but with a reasonable stagger. And this is a bit unreasonable. So if you go read a lot of the old Dynan literature on suspension setup and things like that, you'll understand why. Pretty good. Yeah, not bad. Car's gotta settle a bit here. Let's do an old jumperoo. Looks pretty good. I can see the brake calipers now. Yeah, if it's possible to make this thing look good. I'm trying hard.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
Some angles it does look really good. So now you want to be careful with your carbon ceramic. You don't want to bang the wheel off of it if you can help it. You can chip them easily and damage it. Look at that, D-badged, all black, custom black, unplugged caliper, sick. Now I'm gonna be able to see it. So now that we're almost done with the Nerd 3, you know what that means? I gotta sell it. I do enjoy driving this. Let me rephrase that. I don't enjoy driving it. I like the simplicity of it. Like when you just want to just chill. So putting all this performance stuff on is kind of a waste because it's not, I don't know. I just think you have to be kind of dorky to really enjoy that. Ooh, torque, man. Ooh. You know, it's like, it's not that cool. It's not cool at all. It's just like, you know, I get it. It's, you know, I own the car. I bought the thing. So I get to say what I want. But it's, you see all these idiots on YouTube throwing themselves into the back of the seat. It's not that freaking fast. Now, I know the Model S is ridiculous fast and all that, but it's not, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I think you just got to be realistic with the cars. I love the technology. I love the tech of this. This is like my MacBook Pro on wheels. Only not nearly as cool as my MacBook Pro. So Matt, why don't you get the Taycan? Well, the Taycan technology can't touch this. And if I'm going to buy a Porsche, I'm going to buy a Porsche, not an electric Porsche. So that's why. Boom, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. There's always that. Does it fit? Ugh. Knew it. Not even close to good. Like, God dang it. It's like, what? Wheel companies have one job. I already have it. It's 1 degree. It needs to be 2. That's terrible. Yeah. I don't think this, I'm going to put this, I don't think the 15, I think the 15 will work. Yep. Frickin' spacer back on, nerds. I'm going to start my own frickin' wheel company. I was hoping maybe, because I had like tons of camber in it before, but that just looks god-awful. Looks worse than stock. Ah, make me throw up in my mouth. There it goes. I've got a 14 millimeter next door too that if it's 1 millimeter too much. The problem is it probably needs to be 10 and I don't have a 10. So yeah, I think the rear you probably need to do 20 by 10 so you can stay 285. And then I'm probably going to buy, we'll see what the spacer looks like, but I'm probably going to buy some 255s because it looks like I got plenty of room to work with here. So if I can go 10 millimeter spacer on a 255, that's the way to go. And so what I should have done is a plus like 28 or so offset instead of a plus 35. HRE did this to me too. Every wheel company does the same thing. Wrong frickin' sizes. So again, I had these wheels on the car, but I didn't have the the camber adjusted yet, and the toe was way off. So they didn't fit then, but they fit even worse now. Just again, who the heck wants to run a spacer when you have an aftermarket wheel when you can set size whatever you want? And I just didn't. It's my fault. I didn't do the research. There we go. Full 15 millimeters out. Wow. I think that's good. Car's gonna settle a little bit. You know, now the question is, will it rub? We just have to drive around and see how that goes. It almost looks like the car, it doesn't make sense. Overall diameter should be very, very close. So I shouldn't need to lower it more. It'll settle a little bit when they settle. Look how much better that looks. The 15 millimeter freaking spacer in the front. God dang it. Rear looks pretty good though, doesn't it? Yeah. The rear is perfect. Spot on. Just needs a 295. If it was a 295. But again, I don't want to run a 50 millimeter stagger. It's already going to handle like crap the way it's set up. And so, yeah, I think what I probably, in a perfect world, is a tiny, that's pretty flush. In a perfect world, I'd run, so we'd run a 255 with this offset and a 10 millimeter spacer. So you'd run a 255 on a, what did I say these were, 35? On a 25, ET25. That's the way to go. All right, let me swap the other side. This is the side I've got to do the eraser wheel because I still have that, all that sticky crap on the side. Brake looks sick. I'm glad I can see the brakes again. Those lugs are pretty sweet. I love that center cap. I love everything about them except for the offset. Dang it. Which is the most important part. I'd rather have some janky looking wheels and a better offset. But these spacers are legit. I mean, you can't feel a shimmy or a shake, so it's fine. Typical, every guy does is you always overreact when you first do something. This is my kind of modifying though, it takes 2 seconds. But actually I take it back, it's taken me months of work to get to this point to make it take 2 seconds. The coolest thing is that I can buy new tires and swap them out myself in half an hour and I don't have to go anywhere and I get a perfect balance. That's what's cool. I'm telling you, having Mike here is going to increase my lifespan by like at least a couple of years. Because when I get frustrated, I just leave and let him finish it. Or maybe we never even need to get frustrated. See how awesome this mid-torque is? Go to obsessedgarage.com. That was a darn good looking wheel though. Fits the car. So these lugs I'm going to tighten to like 110. We're going to need to put the radar detector on it now because now we look too cool. Before they were giving me the benefit of the doubt, assume I've gotten beaten up in high school, so the cops just kind of leave you alone. Now they're going to know that that's not the case. So they're not going to give me any more benefits of the doubt. I'm making so many people mad right now. I'll just speak the truth. You don't have to get mad about it. So go 110 foot-pounds. I got all those darn torque wrenches at my house and I never use them there. And I only have one here, the old stinky old one. That lug pocket with their lugs and that center cap with the V pointing right down at the valve stem is really freaking slick. I'm telling you, these guys are on HRE level now. So I just have to do my own offset instead of letting the wheel company choose. You know, I thought, you know, you just tell them, and the HRE did this to me. I just told them what I wanted, and then they, you know, got me a set of R101 lightweights that were 15 millimeters sunk, just like this. I think these wheels need to be narrower. Half-inch narrower, more meat, more tire, less wheel. It's gonna settle a bit when I drive around. The suspension will settle in a little bit because it's, you know, it's sitting up from just jacking it up. All right, so that's a wrap. Yeah, I think, you know, what I've learned here, I need to go drive around the car before I give you, you know, final assessments, but I think the way to go is to do a little less wheel. So narrower wheel, wider tire. So I think you stay 285 in the rear, but I'd love to go 255 or 265 in the front. And so maybe do a 20 by 8.5 at a, I guess that would probably be somewhere around a plus 20, low 20s offset, something like that. But, you know, we got a 15 millimeter spacer on here, so I effectively moved the wheel out. And so I moved it down to like a, from a 30 down, or 35 down to a 20. So that's a 20 by 9 plus 20 setup. So we'll find out if it rubs. Maybe that's why, you know, why it needs to be sunk. But you saw the factory wheels, I had those suckers flush, if not poking slightly. And I wonder if the factory wheel gives us an offset. Does it say on the inside? Let's see here. Plus 34. So this is a 29 plus, that's why. These are just stock fronts. Plus, or 20 by 9 plus 34 offset. And I had a 15 millimeter spacer on it. And so that was perfect. And so, yeah, I should run that 14 millimeter spacer. Wait, no. Because this would have been, yeah, this would have been at 19. So this would have been another millimeter out over what I've got now. And I have the same tire. So, yeah, I guess you should know that if you're buying wheels for these, you want a different offset than this. Now we'll find out if I haven't done a full turn to see what it does in full lock, does it rub or anything like that. So I'll be sure to update you on a future wash and talk. But let's do an old you know, old outdoor exterior montage, and we'll see you in the next video. We'll be doing a radar detector here today, so make sure to check that out. And I did a full wash of this prior to, so make sure to check out those videos. Hit up obsessedgarage.com if you want, you know, Sonic torque wrenches and Milwaukee stuff and cabinets and all of that. I can't wait. I think this is the first project we've done in this garage. Can't wait to get my lights in here. So we've been doing this in the dark for quite some time. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you soon.